Hi there, my name is Lucy Becker. I'm calling from the Houston West Chamber of Commerce. How are you today? Good. We noticed your membership has lapsed and we wanted to know if you'd like to renew.
Okay, we are live on YouTube. Oh, we have Suzanne coming in.
I can email you the invoice.
Hi, Suzanne. How are you?
Darren.Price.
There it is. Sorry. Hi, Devin. How are you?
Good, good. Your volume's kind of low, but we can hear you. Guys, go ahead. Don't forget to put your contact information in the chat section, though I think everyone here is pretty familiar with each other. I know Bill and Craig, you guys both work on Salute to Veterans real nicely, so you guys are all familiar. And Suzanne, go ahead and put your contact information in. Looks like we have a Tamara Hudgens coming in as well.
Oh, that message. It's ridiculous.
Hey, Tamara.
Hi there.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise. Good to be with all of you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, guys, at this time, I would like to introduce Kendra Windish. She is going to be hosting our MD Anderson webinar for today on how to spot skin cancer. So summer's coming up, it's hot outside, and we need to know what those funny looking moles look like, right? Carrie, you just never know what's going to come out.
I don't, I really don't.
All right, Kendra, go ahead, take it away.
All right, great, thank you. Well, appreciate you having us back, and hope you don't get tired of listening to me talk, but we have a different topic today. We'll talk about how to spot skin cancer. This is one of my favorite presentations. It really gives some good takeaways and some good slides that kind of let you know what to look for and what to do and how to take some action. So I'm going to go ahead and share. You would think with all this rain, it would wash away the allergies, but no, don't have much voice. All right, can you see the slide? Okay, great. All right, so I am going to ask some questions, and I can see a few of you on the side here, but during the presentation, like some of the others that we've done, ask for kind of a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and you can do it, with your thumb. You can use the reaction buttons, just kind of a way to make it a little bit more interactive. And here is our reminder slide that we always do, just to help stop the spread. I think we're making progress. Information in the news sounds promising, but still want people to stay 6 feet apart if they can. Wash your hands frequently. That's really one of the most important things, and wash them for about 20 seconds. Wear a mask if you're in a crowd and you're feeling like, everyone's too close together. Get tested if you're not feeling well, just so you know. Knowing you have it can help you stop the spread, and then consider getting vaccinated. All right, so this is what we're going to talk about today, just kind of an overview. What is cancer? What is skin cancer, and then how we can reduce our risk, and then talk about what screening exams are recommended so that we can have early detection. Just like all the cancers we've talked about, the early detection really gives you the best chance for curing it and recovery. So what is cancer? It is just an abnormal growth of cells. And when that happens, it becomes a tumor. Cells divide every day, but sometimes they will start to divide uncontrollably, and it'll kind of make a mass like it shows on the bottom there. And when it becomes, if it stays in one area, let's put it that way, then it's benign. It's a benign tumor. It's not going to spread to other parts of the body. If it is able to do that, then it is malignant, and that's what we call cancerous. And cancer is not just one disease, it's actually over 100 diseases. So if you can imagine, there's over 100, and then there's probably some we still don't even know about. And that's why it makes it so difficult to come up with just one cure. Each kind of cancer, for each body part, there are several different kinds, just like skin today. we'll talk about several different kinds, but you know, breast has lots of kinds and lung has different kinds, and it just makes it very difficult. But we will talk about what we can do ourselves to help reduce our risk. Well, I just answered your question for you, but do you think there's more than one kind of skin cancer? And yes, I think we probably, yeah, most of us have heard of some of these anyway. All right, so these are the three we're going to talk about today: basal cell cancer, squamous cell, and melanoma. And about basal cell is very common, squamous cell a little less. And then melanoma is the most rare form of these three, but the most dangerous. So we'll talk about those in more detail. So which of these is the most dangerous? They all look different, and kind of the point of this slide is that they all are. So you don't really know. And I know that I've had some spots on me, and I know Devin, you were just talking about it. You think, oh, this is not good, let's get this checked, and they turn out to be fine. So what we want is for a dermatologist, you know, whomever you go to look at these and look at them every year, make sure there's no change, and then look at them. They'll hold like a little microscope, like a little magnifying glass when they look over it, and they can see the cells and they can see if they are abnormal looking. Things we can't see with our eyes. So that's why it's important to get a check, just because you're not, you know, you just don't know. So pre-malignant actinic keratosis is what this is called. And it is just precancerous skin cells, and it looks like dry skin. And a lot of times you'll feel it before you'll see it. So when you're doing your daily routine of washing your hair or putting on lotion or whatever it is you do, you might feel it and look down and not really see anything yet. But it'll turn out looking like these photos here on the slide. It's just a rough red patch. And what you want to do is, I don't want you to panic. That's not what this slide or any of these slides are about. But look and see if it persists. So if it sticks around after you put lotion on, it's, you know, possibly not just dry skin. So if you can take care of it with some sort of lotion or over-the-counter medication, then you're probably fine, because these things, for the most part, will not go away on their own. So then if it persists, then you want to at least ask your doctor about it. You don't necessarily have to go in for an appointment every single time. So if you establish a relationship with a dermatologist and something comes up in between, you can always call the nurse and say, hey, this is what's happening. Sometimes they'll ask for a photo, and they can do it that way. Of course, there's virtual visits now. So at least just ask the question if it's something that sticks around. All right, so basal cell. This is the most common. This accounts for about 90% of all skin cancers that we find. So extremely common. It rarely spreads to other parts. Well, it won't spread to internal organs, but for the most part, it'll stay very local to where it starts, but it can destroy the tissue right there where you're seeing it. So it is still necessary to get it taken care of. If it's brand new, many times they can freeze it off like they would a wart, if you've seen that done before. And then sometimes, depending on how large it is, they may have to remove it with a procedure. With this one, like I said, it's not deadly, but you want to take care of it just for that tissue and that surrounding area. But it is very common, if you have one of these, to get another one within about 5 years. So once you have one, you really need to get those skin checks and just make sure that you can catch them early as they pop up. And this is usually in areas that have seen a lot of sun. So back of the neck, back of the hands, kind of areas that we, I see Carrie over there pointing at her neck. All the areas we forget too, you know, it's like our ears, you know, you forget to put sunscreen on them. So squamous cell is sort of the next bump up. It's a little bit more aggressive, but generally speaking, not that aggressive. It can spread to internal organs, just doesn't do it that often. And it's very slow. So a lot of times we can catch it before it gets to that point. Also looks like a pink bump or maybe a sore that doesn't heal. And also usually seen in areas with a lot of sun exposure. So, and then usually older individuals. So, you know, you have your sun exposure, And I just read something on this and I thought it was really interesting because I sort of think, oh, I'm only going to be out for 20 minutes today. I'm not going to worry about it. But what they know now is it's all cumulative. So you might think you don't need to put sunscreen on every day as part of your routine because you're only going to be out here or there. But here or there for 10 or 20 years, then is the compound issue you see when you're 50, 60, sometimes older than that, years old. So think of it that way when you're exposing yourself to sun. Don't think it's only 10 minutes. Add them up in your head and think 10 years from now, I've had this many hours of sun exposure, because it does add up. And I know I have been guilty of that thinking for sure. All right, melanoma, this is the most dangerous. It's usually in a spot or a mole. Many times it actually begins in the pigmentation of a mole. So you don't know it's happening. It's not a new spot every time. It might just be a spot you've had. I just had a few months back, had a pre-melanoma removed, and it was a mole I'd had my entire life. I had no idea. I went for my skin check and pointed out some new freckles, and they were totally fine. So I was way off. It was a spot that I never would have considered as an issue. So now I am definitely, I rally for people to go and get their skin checks, because I would have had no idea if I hadn't done that. So let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. Also, and we'll talk about risk factors again a little bit later. It's not the only one, but this one also is common in sun exposed areas that you, and it can also, so the, places that have been exposed for, years and years, but then also we find it between the toes or on the soles of the feet. Some people get it under their fingernails. So, just areas you would never think of. So it can pop up anywhere. All right, so give me a thumbs up if you think wearing sunscreen is the only protection that you need. So although extremely important, it's not the only thing that we can do. These are all the things that you can do. So wear protective clothing. So long sleeves, dark clothing, tightly woven. This one's hard for me to sort of wrap my brain around because I love being outside and it's really hot in Houston. But I'm going to try it this year. I think I have found some clothing that they say is not, it's breathable, but still protects you kind of thing. So consider that. And then use a sunscreen, SPF 30 or higher. And the reason we talk about, I'm going to look at my notes here because I'll get the numbers wrong. So SPF 30 or higher. So 30 does not mean 30%. SPF 50 is not 50%. SPF 100 is not 100. So the way these are calculated is SPF 4. So if you go to the bottom end, SPF 4 blocks 75% of the harmful rays. SPF 15 is 93%. SPF 30 is 97%. So you're getting almost all of them at SPF 30. The most important thing is to reapply. So you want to get it all on, you want to hit all the areas and not forget anything, and then reapply every 2 hours. But if you've been swimming or sweating a lot, you might need to even reapply more often than 2 hours. So that's where we see individuals that end up with a burn. When we do surveys and ask if people are complying with wearing their sunscreen, they usually do yes that first time, but then it drops off. After that, that's where we see some compliance issues. If you can stay in the shade, that's ideal. Between 10 and 4 is the most dangerous time to be out. Make sure you have sunscreen on your children, and then avoid tanning beds. There is no safe amount for a tanning bed. They've actually been listed now as a carcinogen. We're thrilled about that. We've spent a lot of time with the government agencies and trying to make it happen. And then what is it, 21, I think now that you have to be, is it 18? Maybe it's 18 age limit. We would like for them to go away, but they're just extremely dangerous. They increase your risk for melanoma up to 75%. So that's a huge number. Let me think if I've forgotten anything here. So with the SPF 30, just a question I get once in a while is, why not 100, SPF 100? We're not saying not to do that, but I know there are some questions out there about the higher the SPF, the more chemicals you're putting on your skin. So 30 is sort of a good balance as long as you reapply. If you want to have some, less chemicals. And we still feel at MD Anderson it is safe to wear SPF every single day, that it doesn't harm you. But I know if you do have some reservations about that, then 30 is good. All right, let me get back over here. Okay. So protecting your kids, as far as sunscreen and babies, you don't want to put sunscreen on a baby less than 6 months old. So 6 months and older, you can go ahead and put it on. If not, just cover them completely. And then it's good to start a habit of it so that when you're not there, they're going to want to put on sunscreen. I tried my best. I always bring up my poor child if he knew, but he's almost 23. And I see him spray. He plays baseball. And so I see him spray the back of his neck, but that's about all I've accomplished. He doesn't put it anywhere else. He has a hat on, so maybe his face is okay. So I at least get excited when he sprays one area. One thing I forgot, I was watching him play a few weeks ago, and I was kind of beating myself up the next day. I put it, because we were out there for a doubleheader, it's full sun all day, and I'm reapplying, and it got it on my ears, and then realized the next day as I was showering, I did not put it in my ears. And they were really sore. So don't forget that when you're putting, because the sun was to the side. So make sure, and don't just put it on the outside of your ears, get the inside as well. All right, so give me a thumbs up if you think it's safe to use sunscreen on a daily basis. I jumped the gun on that one. So I did tell you that yes, it is safe to use daily. There is no evidence that exists that it is not safe to do so. So how much do you need? You need enough to cover all your exposed areas, usually about a shot glass full. And just to kind of give you an idea, this is one of the things I think about. So if you're going out to the beach and you're going to be out in the sun all day, and you have a family of 4 or 5, and you all need a shot glass every 2 hours, you really need quite a bit of sunscreen. And that's where I think some people get stuck. They're out at some sort of an event, they're on the lake or something like that, and they only bring 1 bottle for everybody, and you'll run out, and you'll end up not reapplying, and then everyone gets a little bit of a sunburn. So just keep that in mind if you're heading out for a big event, that you're going to need lots of that. And when you're choosing your sunscreen, you want it to say broad spectrum. I think most of them do now. I don't think it's an issue anymore, but that means it's covering the UVA and UVB rays. So it's protecting you from both. And I think is it for that one. All right, so practicing awareness. This is just knowing your body. We've talked about that with breast cancer and with some other cancers, and just knowing that something has changed. If you have a significant other in your home, have them look at your back, and you can look at their back, because those are areas they can't see if something has changed. If you need to measure things, if you need to take pictures, just to see what the changes are, then you can do that, and your doctor will do the same. And then just as you're going through your routine, just make sure that there's things that aren't new, and then if they don't heal, make that phone call or make yourself an appointment. Okay, so I love this slide. It really gives us a good idea as to what we need to look for. So ABC, I think it used to be ABC, and then we added D, and now we've added E. So we're probably going to get through the entire alphabet at some point. So when you're looking at spots, is it asymmetrical? So does one half look like the other half? If you were to put a line down the middle and fold it, would it match up? If not, and you can see on this one picture here with the A, it sort of looks like it's kind of bleeding off to one side. That is indication that it's spreading in that direction. So you want to get that checked out. And then the border, the borders just are uneven. It's not a perfect circle like sometimes a mole is. If it starts to spread out, The color variation, if it's dark in one area and not in another. So it can all, like the whole thing can be brown or black in different shades, or it can be brown and black and maybe red. So if it's got different colors in one spot, that's something you want to get checked. The diameter, you want it to be, I guess the best thing to say is like a pencil eraser. If it's bigger than a pencil eraser around, then you want to get that checked out. And then is it evolving, expanding, or enlarging? We've said that already. Just if things are changing, if they're changing rapidly, then you want to, and then also meeting these other criteria, you want to get those checked. All right, so screening exams, usually once a year with a dermatologist, and they'll go head to toe. And if you haven't done it, they go literally head to toe. They check everything. They check your scalp, all in your hair, all in areas maybe you don't want them to check, but they're going to check. And you're going to have on a robe, and they're going to want to get, look between your toes and all of that, like I mentioned as well. So some things that also put you at risk other than sun exposure. If you have red hair, if you have lots of freckling, if you have more than 50 moles, which I've never counted mine, but I don't think I have more than 50, but I know lots of people do. When you really start adding them up all the way head to toe, there ends up a number higher than what you would think. If you have a family history of melanoma, or there are some genetic syndromes that put you at higher risk for cancer, and melanoma is usually in that group. And then also there are some genetic syndromes that just make you more sensitive to the sun, or some medications that make you more sensitive to the sun. If you've been on those, then that also puts you at higher risk. Different UV light exposure, a history of tanning beds or tanning bed use, and a history of blistering sunburns. I know that when I was young, I had a ton of them. We thought it was great. We didn't talk about sunscreen at all. We wore oil. We always, I laugh. I always say we would like go up to the second floor, like on a roof, because we were closer, to the sun by 10 feet. And we thought that was a fantastic idea. We now know that is not a great idea. And if you also have a personal history of any pre-cancer, like the actinic keratosis we talked about, or basal or squamous cell, then that puts you at higher risk for more dangerous things. I think I have said anything or everything else. All right. Okay, well, that is the end of this presentation. Is shorter than some of the others. But please consider going to your dermatologist and getting a check if you have not done so. And then that way you just have a baseline. They may tell you, see you next year. They may say everything is great, come back in 2 years, whatever it is they decide. If there's something they're not sure of, they might ask you 6 months. That's kind of the schedule I'm on right now, is a 6 months. So just so they can see. And then once they see that it's not changing, they'll let you spread that out a little bit more. And then here's our information. I know we've shared it before, but we have a phone number there you can call, or our website. There's a search bar, and you can type in all kinds of skin cancer, skin protection, sunscreen, whatever it is you want to type in there, and it'll give you information on it. And then also whatever research we have that backs the information, which is something I like. I like to know where it came from. And I will stop sharing there. So do we have any questions? And you guys, we have a small group too. If anyone wants to unmute, that's fine. Do you want me to read them, Laura? Do you have a voice?
I do have, not really. I don't, my voice is going.
I can look.
There's no questions in the chat, but they may have some person.
Okay. Is anyone?
So I'm kind of like you, Kendra. I love the sun. I don't want to say loved. I still do.
I do too. I know.
And yeah, there's nothing like a little sun kiss to your skin. But if you wear sunblock, is it still okay to lay out?
Well, the saying is,
swimming.
Yeah, the saying amongst the dermatologists is that tanned skin is still damaged skin. And I think we talked about it before you were on. It's cumulative. So
yeah, right.
Were you on? Okay, so
Yeah.
just think of it that way. So even if we're just getting a little bit of a tan, down the
Well,
road.
that any cancer things? Mold?
It puts you at, I mean, you're just at sun exposure puts you at higher risk. Doesn't mean you'll get it, but just if you're looking in the world of risk and you have to decide what's
Right.
Where you are on that. It's the same with eating or exercising or, everyone's going to have a different level of what they're willing to,
Gotcha.
I was not, I was wearing my sunscreen, but not changing any other habits until I had something this last summer. So it changes your outlook a little bit when you realize you are at high risk. So I drew the short straw.
I do have a question too. So I'm probably one of your favorite people to hear from. I actually go fishing out in the middle of the ocean. And sometimes it is so hard to keep that sunscreen on. So I have to use 100 SPF and I put it on in the morning. But I mean, how can I really, because I notice I get burned beyond belief no matter how much sunscreen I put on and all of that, just because, I mean, it's direct, there's no cover. So,
I think that clothing that I've been trying to do a lot of research for myself for that, because I don't want to stop going out and I don't want to stay in the shade. I'm too active, I like to be in the sun. And so a hat, which I should have mentioned this, a hat and sunglasses. I don't know where I skipped that.
Yeah,
I don't know why I did that. But the hat, and you want a wide brim, and that will help your ears and your the back of your neck. And then these long sleeve, they're called rash guard is what I Googled, and they're all over Amazon. And then there's a bunch of companies that have them as well. And one of our dermatologists had rash guard suggested in their articles, or an article last week. And that's when I went and looked for it. Lots of different brands, and they're like bathing suit material, but they have protect you at about an SPF 50 level.
Yeah, I had, because of course, going to the stores, the fishing stores, they have all those, UV shirts and all that, like Columbia, Magellan, all those. So I try to keep those long sleeves on.
Did it not work?
Well, you get really ugly tan lines. I'm sorry.
I can't help you
so
there.
How do you avoid that? Just load up on the sunscreen?
The sunscreen.
That's just a no-no, the bad tan lines.
I know. Gosh, I feel your pain. I really do.
Yeah.
And then I've just, maybe try some, the tanning lotion, like the self-tan, try that.
Instead.
Are those dangerous?
Like that might offset the tan line.
I was just going to say that you can offset it with that lotion.
Those are still safe to use. I know I tried using them in the winter, and then whether I lay out or I try using that stuff, the husband's right there. That's bad for you. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? I can't win.
Right. I don't have any information that shows that it's bad, but I'll look because that's where I was going. So I guess I need to look. I was gonna try. I am trying those. I've tried several, and really, there's some expensive ones that aren't streaky and
they have such a great smell.
And do all that. Oh, sometimes. But I think that might offset the tan line thing. I hear you. I know it sounds silly, but
Bill and Craig.
I think the same thing.
Bill and Craig, they don't have to worry about awful tan lines. It's us women that really care about that.
Oh, well, no.
But Bill, you just got to make sure you have a wide brimmed hat, that you have a good hat.
And really, I should have talked more about sunglasses too.
Oh yeah.
We've seen a real increase in eyelid cancer because
oh my gosh.
they don't want the tan lines. So they take off their sunglasses and they lay out, and then they don't put sunscreen on their eyelids because that would sting.
Ouch.
And 20, 30 years later, now we're seeing eyelid cancer. So keep that in mind. You really just need to protect.
That sounds terrifying.
It's the brand of sunglasses too, because I remember I bought just going out there and my eyes hurt so bad.
Oh, they didn't have the UV on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then I invested in, really good $200 pair of glasses, and like I keep those suckers on, and that tan line on your face is a myth. I've never had tan lines from sunglasses, and I am constantly out in the sun with them.
I've had them, but now I have a hat. I don't have enough hair to protect myself. It's too thin
Got a
and
lot.
blonde, so I have to wear a hat. And Bill, you have to wear a hat.
What about us dark haired or dark?
It still gets
colored?
the,
Is it
well,
the same
where you'll
amount?
see the skin cancers is in the part.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious because, you know, they say that the dark hair, you get more sun, it absorbs sun, or is that just a myth?
I haven't heard that. I mean, we just tell people to protect their heads and, you know, everyone to put a hat on.
Right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be a good question. So I moved here. I'm actually outside of Georgetown, Texas.
Okay.
And I moved here from the north, so I'm average Midwest human. And when I moved here, I was, you know, white as this piece of paper. But I like to garden, so I'm out in the garden, and I love the rash guards. And then there's those, you know, super Arctic cool, like scarves that you can get to put under your hat or whatever. Those are also super great.
Yeah, those cooling ones. Okay.
Yeah. I have a strange question, and I apologize that it's not off topic because I love sunscreen. I always do the spray sunscreen of different kinds, super sensitive skin, so I can't use certain ones, but certain ones work. On the rash guards that I have, and I usually just go to Academy and they've got them for $13 right now. I just looked it up. I don't know, there's something in my chemistry, but with sunscreen, I turn fabrics orange. Like the combo of whatever I'm sweating. And
Right.
I mean, am I the only humanoid that has this?
Well, I haven't tried mine yet, but that's a good question.
Anyway, so I mean, I load up on the sunscreen.
I never looked about wearing them together. Like, I wonder if there's whatever is in that's blocking the sun.
Yeah.
Is reacting.
I mean, I don't care. It's just me and the roses. Yeah, it's just me and the roses, but there is some sort of chemical change that happens. And I also don't know. And you know, sometimes the internet is not your friend, right? So after, I'm guessing that after a certain point, the rash guards aren't quote unquote any good, like in terms of the SPF factor. Does anybody know? Do you know? Like, is there a certain period of time? Is it forever? Is it a season?
I have not looked at that.
Okay.
Actually, if you'll put your email in the chat.
Sure.
I'll see what I can figure out.
Okay.
And I'll need to know too. I mean, it's blocking the sun like a barrier, you know, from, you know, so that is not going to go away, but.
Yeah.
My brother's in Hawaii. He has melanoma a couple different times. He wears the UV shirts. But from what I understand, after a lot of washings, you start to lose that protection. Okay. I don't know how many, or what that is, but it does lose protection over time.
And you don't want to find out the hard way, right? Especially if you're out in the ocean or something. All right.
But the Academy ones are cheap, and you know, it's like if it gets snagged on a rose, it's not. I mean, $13 is not a huge deal.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah. Magellan has really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Who does?
I can imagine.
Magellan, that's the Academy.
Oh, Magellan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you.
So.
You guys have given me a lot to look up. Thank you.
So thanks. That was helpful.
Thank you.
All right. Helpful. Very, very good. Thanks you for doing this. And I got to jump off to another meeting. So.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Bill.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
She is just now ending a webinar call. Let me see if she
Well, Kendra, this was another great topic. Before everyone jumped off, I didn't even get to tell everyone that we're having our next one. Let me see. I can tell Craig because he hasn't jumped off yet, or Marguerite. Everyone's such in a hurry. Our next one is going to be June 15th. It's another Wednesday from 12 to 12:45. This one's going to be about eating healthy proportions or portions because your health matters. So because of summer, don't be gluttonous and just indulge yourself in all the food, you know? You got to have healthy portions. But yeah, Kendra, thank you again so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kendra, that was very, very interesting. This is Marguerite Dunlap. I just want to tell you that was a very interesting presentation.
Thank
I have
you.
direct family members that have passed away due to the cancer, melanoma, especially. And I fear for my kids because they're a generation down. So I'm, you know, they
Gotta
love
start them
them.
early.
Well, they love
I
the
fear for my
sun.
husband.
Yeah. But I stay out of the sun. I'm one of those people that I would love to be out there getting that beautiful tan, but I just can't afford it on my body. It burns me more than it does tan me. So anyway, thank you so much.
You're
Great
welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Debbie, for sending it.
Okay, thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Y'all have a good week.
Bye.
Thanks, Craig. You too. Bye.